We are going back to school on iOS.
I am making you and your family safer.
Before we round things out with a soundboard on your wrist.
It's time for iOS Today. iOS Today is brought to you from TWiT's LastPass Studios. You're focused on security, but are your employees? LastPass can ensure they are by making access and authentication seamless, whether employees are working in the office or remotely. Visit lastpass.com/twit to learn more.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
This episode of iOS Today brought to you by Hover. Do you have a domain name that truly represents you and your passion? Visit hover.com/twit to get 10% off your first purchase of any domain extension for the entire first year.
Hello, Leo Laporte.
How are you today?
I am peachy keen, fine and dandy. How about yourself?
I'm good because the kids are going back to school.
Yeah,
Finally, I can go back to work because the kids are going back to school.
Thank goodness I don't have them running around my house doing the things that kids do. I don't know, eating chocolate pudding and sweating.
Man.
What do kids do?
Eat chocolate pudding and sweat. You pretty much nailed it.
Thank you.
That's pretty much it right there in a nutshell.
Now the teachers can worry about.
Yeah. So a lot of kids who are going back to school will not be going back to school. They'll merely doing schooling on the dining room table. So we thought, what better use for an iOS device? And by the way, not just an iPad, an iPhone, or an Apple Watch. All three combined, maybe even the Apple TV, to help your student get things done this year and help your family survive until you can finally push the kids out the door.
That's the big thing.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel for all of those parents out there who are scrambling to figure out a solution that works for them and their kids. And I also feel for the as an eldest sibling myself, I feel for those eldest siblings who are going to become teachers. Of their younger siblings as well.
Yeah. It's a hard job. I'm not advocating this, but I almost wish they would just announce it's a snow year and just say, look, we're going to write the whole thing off. 2020, I mean, I'm personally writing 2020 off. I don't know about you. Let's just write the whole thing off. There'll be a generation of kids who will be 1 year behind. Big deal.
1 year.
1 year,
yeah.
Big deal.
I mean, because what is it at the end? The whole point, whether you decide to go into a trade school, start a job, go to college, whichever one you want to do, as long as you can, prove those skills at the end, that's the important part. And so, yeah, I kind of agree with you there. But alas, that is not what a lot of places are doing, only some places. And so we thought we would talk about some apps that can help you and your family go back to school in whatever way or form you do so. And there are plenty of apps that seek to help you with that on iOS, and we're going to talk about a few here.
You asked me a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about maybe it was last week, what you use instead of the Apple defaults. What we talked a little bit, very briefly at the end, about note-taking apps, and I brought up the old chestnuts. But since then, I've done some digging, and I found one that is lesser known, but I think is particularly well-suited for homeschooling students who are at home. You could even use this at school. One of the reasons I like it is because it works on a Mac, it works on an iPad, and it even works on your Apple Watch. The Apple Watch you don't really want to take notes on, but what you can do with this is record audio on the Apple Watch and then later import it into your notes. And I think that's something a lot of people would like to do when they're going back to school. This program is called Noteshelf, and I think it's, let me put this down in this special, what do we call this position? I forgot.
Oh, golly. It's a maneuver.
It's the maneuver.
I always forget.
So Noteshelf is one that a lot of people love, and then they always get mad when we mention Good Notes or Good Reads or Notability. They say, wait, what about Noteshelf? So let me show you a little bit about Noteshelf. First of all, it is a first day of school tomorrow. Boop, boop, boop. It is not free. It is $10, but that's it. It's all in. A lot of note-taking apps will have subscriptions or some other way of getting money out of you, and you get a lot for $10. $8 if you want the Mac version. I would wait before you run and buy the Mac version. But what's nice is if you allow it, and it's the first thing it asks you, it will sync all your notes to iCloud, which means your notes will be the same on your phone, your tablet, and your computer. So that's a very nice feature. The other thing is, for your $10, you get something that a lot of note-taking apps charge you for, which is a huge, what they call a club of information and extra templates. And when I mean huge, I mean huge. Planners, there's travel planners, finance, there's digital diaries for each year. There's student planners, there's music planners. There's also covers, which I love. And you know how students, you probably remember you'd have book covers and stuff you put on there. These are created by users. So these are what they call inspirations. Many of them created by Noteshelf users. Mindfulness planning weekly. I'll show you an example that I really like. If I go here, this is penmanship practice, created by mydigitaldaydream.com. Valerie did this, and it's really cool. It's kind of an old-fashioned kind of penmanship, but you could, in theory, use this for a more modern form of penmanship. But I kind of like this idea because now I am going to learn, and you could choose a variety of pens. You can also, and I wouldn't do it with this, choose a variety of markers or an eraser or typing text. There's also drawing tools, but I'll choose the pen text. Let me see how good my A is. Not very good. Obviously, Leo needs to practice his handwriting. This is what was a very popular form, not good, of cursive from some years back. They taught this in the 18th century. I really think this is fun. I really do. So that's an example of what you can. Really, I show it more not because everybody needs to use this, but as an example of what you can do with a Noteshelf notebook. I mean, look how elaborate this is. It's, oh, never mind, Siri. I wasn't talking to you. So that's just an example. I also, of course, you've set up, and every kid needs a planner, right? So we've set up the day planner so that the kid can see, his schedule. I'll go back to August. You can go back to the year, of course. I've set this up to go August through July of 2021 to 2022. You tap on a day. You can add notes to the day. Oh, we're erasing. Here, let's go back into writing. You can add pictures to this. You can add stamps to it. There's you have complete capability. It has sharing, of course, built in. We can create new pages. This is one of the things you can't do with a real day timer. You can also search through your pages, which is very nice. So one of the things a kid needs, of course, is a planner. There are plenty of apps that will do the calendar thing, planning thing, to-do lists and so forth. But I think this is more analogous to the kind that we used in school, right? Yeah. Look at that.
This is actually very cool.
Isn't that cool? That's the zoomed in. So penmanship practice calendar. I can also, if I go back to the templates, let's do that. There's also covers. And I think, that's one of the things kids really like is to have covers. So there's cover packs for normal people. And then there's the back to school covers, which I already have. I'm not sure when. Oh, maybe I did this on my. Oh, yeah. I did this on my other, on my phone. So I don't have them here. And you have to sign up to the free club. We'll just sign up with Google real quick just to speed things up. Use my regular Google account. And I'm in the Noteshelf Club. So I get the back-to-school covers. And these are the kinds of covers that you would have on your Peachy, right? Or on your school books. So this gives kids kind of, maybe it's me. Maybe I'm just being nostalgic. But look, there's the subject matter. They also have kind of cool, fun. Here's another one for subject matter. Music. Look, it says, what is that? Computers come. Astronomy. Tarts.
Tarts. I love
class. Yeah. I think that's supposed to be art. Econ, language, drama. Kids, I feel like this is now a kid.
I think this is fun.
It's. But by the way, it's not just for kids. So here's quilting patterns. There's all kinds of patterns and covers. There's all the papers you'd ever want. There's the obvious, the classic papers, the graph papers, the yellow note paper, and so forth. But there's also colored papers and so forth. It goes on and on. I mean, these are placards, planners, and trackers. I would get all the educational stuff. There's music papers, too, which is great. Oops, I meant to show it, not download it, but I'm downloading it now. Music papers, if you're in music class and you want to do notation, there's some covers, but here's also a staff so that you can write on it and all of that stuff. So there's a note-taking for therapists, event planners, UX designers. A lot of UX designers like to use pen and paper to sketch out stuff. Of course, the iPad with a pencil is a pretty good combination. Keep track of your fitness. There's a pack for parents too. Once you've bought this, you might want to use the parent pack to keep track of things. So this is Noteshelf, $10, but it's a one-time only $10. You get a lot of extra stuff, and I've always been really impressed by the variety of contributions from that. To me, always is impressive because I feel like that means that there are avid users who, here's weekly planners from Whitney. She is the voice and content creator of Life by Whitney. She's got a Bujo, so Megan would be very happy about this. This is a bullet journal. So I just downloaded, these are all the things I just downloaded. I just downloaded her bullet journal. I'm not sure which one it is. Which one is it? I don't know. Is it this one? Maybe. Oh yeah, sure is. This is her design, which is kind of a wild design for a planner, and this is actually really instructions for how to do this. So this is the template, and this is how to use it. So you could duplicate. You can duplicate this template over and over again.
I could see somebody finding this and really just digging in and customizing exactly how they want it. And I think that's the thing that I remember we used to call them trapper keepers.
This is a trapper keeper. That's exactly.
Yeah, and you could design it and decorate it however you wanted to, decoupage the front of it, all that kind of stuff.
You can import PDFs, other documents, of course, because sometimes with schoolwork you want to do that. I should show you the watch. Let's see, maybe it's not on here. It was on my iPhone, but watch recordings will show up here as well. And the watch interface is exactly as you would expect. I'll go into it, and you go to Noteshelf. It's very simple. It's just a little recorder. What's fun though is you can use the stem to zoom through your recordings, to zoom through different parts. So now I'm recording on the recorder. That's how easy it is to just record that and import it automatically. It automatically goes straight to Noteshelf, both on your phone. And if it's on your phone, it goes to iCloud, and it goes to your cancel. Goes to your iPad as well. So Noteshelf. I just wanted to give them. I feel like when we talk about note apps, we rarely talk about Noteshelf, but it's actually quite good. I think it does a very, very good job. What's yours?
Well, let's see. The first one I'm going to talk about is Microsoft Math Solver. So one of the things,
baby,
that I know folks run into is an issue with trying to understand today's math. It's different from what I grew up with. It's different from what folks older than me grew up with, and trying to understand that and help with that can be an issue. So what I like about this app is that it works in multiple ways. One is that if you're a student trying to understand math, this can be helpful for you because it can walk you through a problem. But if you are a parent trying to help your child with math and you don't have the time to go back and learn math over again, algebra or whatever it happens to be, then this can help you learn how to do the math again.
I think secretly that's the real trepidation parents have about having kids home, is that they're going to ask them for help with algebra.
Yes. And then you have to go, I don't remember algebra. So the easiest thing to do here is to show you some of these examples. So what's awesome is that you can do this in the app. You can, write or type out equations, but you can also take a photo of certain questions, certain math problems, certain equations, and get an answer with a detailed solution. So let's go with this one. 4x plus y equals 7, 3x plus 2y equals 9. This is a photo that someone took of this text, and we're going to tap on that, and it's going to take this problem and understand what it means. So you can see down here at the bottom, it shows 4x plus y equals 7 and 3x plus 2y equals 9. That is correct. So we can grab that bar and slide up, and it shows solve for x and y. So x equals 1, y equals 3. That's just the answer, but you can actually get the step-by-step solution. So we'll go here, and you can see how this was solved. So what I love too is that this is so detailed that, you might get a math problem where it says solve using substitution. You might get a math problem saying solve using elimination. You might get a problem saying solve using matrices. Be still, or good luck to you if you do, if that's the one that you get. But let's go with substitution. That's one of the easiest ones. And you can see here how this works. So 4x plus y equals 7, 3x plus 2y equals 9. We'll start with 4x plus y equals 7. We take the 7 and bring it over to the y and take the 4x and put it on the other side of the equal sign. So now it's negative y plus 7. And then we can start to solve. We take the 4 away from the x by dividing what's left on the other side.
You remember this.
A hair, and see, it does start to help you bring it back.
It does come back.
Nice.
Yeah, it's in there
somewhere.
somewhere.
To come back.
Yeah.
And as you're looking, you can start to see the issues. And what's great is look at this. Not only does it give you each of the steps of the solution, but it also explains what's happening. See, you're dividing both sides by 4, which is what you need to do, because what you do to one side, you have to do the other whenever you're doing an equation. And then it shows you multiply 3 times that part of the equation. And it goes through and it starts to, now we've got y equals 3. Substitute 3 for y and x equals blah, 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 because the resulting equation contains only one variable. So you can finally solve for x directly. Once you have that y, then you can solve for x. And then it shows you the solution there at the end. Boom.
Boom.
Now we can go boom. It's
Boom.
done. You could bookmark this for later. Yeah. So if you wanted to come back to it, that's fantastic. But you can also share it out. So that will actually send a link directly to this problem that you could then share. Maybe you and your friend are working on this together, and your friend is having issues. You've got the app. You can send this, and they can open up the link directly on their browser and be able to get an answer for this. Then you can also use what you've learned here to then take a quiz to sort of understand yourself better. And if you are still struggling, then Microsoft provides you some YouTube videos that help you understand how to solve simultaneous equations, nice. Meaning equations that have more than one variable in them. And then, look, related concepts, you can learn some more information there. And then worksheets that are available, so you can get some more some more problems to work on, and then even some similar problems so you could look at those. And last but not least, if you wanted to, you can view the problem on the web instead of in the app. Nice. So that's one option. But let's go over to Draw. So I can now take my Apple Pencil and let's do, see, I want to do an equation that I know is going to have a pretty answer, but I can't think of one off the top of my head. But let's just do, hold on, let's see. 3x plus 2 equals 34. And so then it takes my scrawled handwriting there, because I'm not doing the Van maneuver currently, so my handwriting's a little messed up. And it shows you the equation here at the top. So yes, I got it.
It's really impressive that it saw it. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I can hit that send button, and then it starts to solve for the equation. So,
that's so cool. Turn that feature off.
Yeah.
Right away.
Not a pretty answer because, again, I wasn't doing the math teacher's equation. But look, it solves for x just fine. It shows you it's about 10.66 repeating, although it does end in a 7. And then it can even start to graph it for you. So you can see the graph here of that equation and start to learn a little bit more about this if you want to. I can make the graph go full scale. and go back out of that. Maybe. There we go. And then I will go back again and show you just the last part, which is that if you are having trouble drawing the stuff, or if you aren't wanting to scan it, or if for whatever reason you want to do actually writing it out, then I could do 34 minus 2. Where's the x? X equals 12. And then hit the send button again, and x equals 11. Boom, solved right there. This is, I think, fantastic because it can show you all sorts of math problems and answers to them and help you figure out how to get to that answer. Whoops, let me go to this again because I want to show you solving for the linear equation. So it starts to show you the steps that you need to take. And this is essentially, I feel that I was blessed to have an incredible math teacher. And she taught me, she taught almost all of my siblings, 2 out of the 3 of my siblings. And I was always so thrilled to know that she was teaching them because she's so good. And this is what she did. You would go into class and you would work together on problems. She would do them on the overhead and you would work together and she would explain each step of the way. So to see this in this way, I think that a parent might look at it at first and go, but that's solving the question for them, and how are they going to learn that way? And it's important to understand that whenever it comes to math, practice, because you need to understand how to do this thing so that when you get to the test, that's the important thing, is when you get to the test, knowing how to do each step by step by step by step. And there's also something to be said for shame-based learning not being a very good method of teaching. So this, I think, is fantastic because you get to learn how it's done and not just sit there going, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do this.
I agree. I think seeing the steps are fine. It's why I also recommend Wolfram Alpha, it's a solver. It will solve it. We've talked about this before. You, in fact, interviewed Stephen Wolfram Triangulation. Highly recommend that. $3 for the app. You can also do it on the website for free. And, here I've solved factoring a polynomial. You can actually get the step-by-step solution. But more to the point, this might not help a kid, but what I like is graphing. And a lot of mathematics, if you see the graph, you can kind of start to understand what's going on here.
Right.
And I think that, I don't know if they use graphs as much as they used to in my day, but I think this is a really great way of understanding by changing parameters, changing the graph. Oh, I get that helps with a lot of things. They have elementary math, so you can just, if you're teaching arithmetic, and it shows some things I think would be useful for homeschooling, like here's a number line. Teachers, I think, still use that. Here's multiplication. And you can, again, get a step-by-step solution. So you can actually use this. I would say this would be more useful for a parent to print out and then work through with the kid. But all of this is also here, up to calculus, geometry, differential equations, plotting and graphics, number theory, trig, linear algebra. That's actually useful for programming. Lisp is a linear algebra programming language. So it's kind of a nice thing to learn that. Number theory, I mentioned that. Discrete mathematics, complete analysis, applied mathematics. This is a very complete set. And that's just the math. Statistics, chemistry. I feel like instead of asking Google, if you're doing homeschooling, ask Wolfram, because he's a good teacher. He'll teach you everything. I also wanted to show you language learning. Should I do that now, or do you want to do one?
No. Go ahead and show us language learning. Yeah.
We've mentioned, and I still recommend Duolingo, which is completely free. That was a project from Carnegie Mellon, and there were reasons that they were doing that for free. They actually were getting data from it. There's one that's not free, not horribly expensive, but you can get a few free lessons, and it's similar to Duolingo. So I wanted to show this one. You've seen probably a lot of ads for Babbel. I'm doing French with Babbel, so I'm learning. Oh, I have to, in order to get the sound, I need to screen mirror to our Apple TV, and now you'll be able to hear it. if I press the right button again. Okay, let's go on. I'm going to learn a new word. How do you say Spanish in French?
Espagnol.
Espagnol. Good to practice because you're going to be asked later.
Allemand.
Allemand. You're going to be asked later.
Français.
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 Français. Choose the...
Allemand.
Allemand is German. So it has a...
Espagnol.
I think it has a well-structured...
Français.
pedagogic model for...
Anglais.
Teaching you the language. You work with the words, just a few words. Two French students met by
Salut,
chance
tu es français toi aussi?
in Barcelona.
Oui.
Oui.
Salut, tu es français? Toi aussi? Hi, are you French too? Oui. Cool. We can speak French. Cool. On peut parler français. Et tu parles espagnol? So I'm going to put in français by, I guess, dragging it. Yeah, there we go.
Cool, on peut parler français.
On peut parler
Et tu
français.
parles espagnol?
Tu parles espagnol? This bit of French.
Oh oui, je le parle couramment. Hablo espagnol.
Wow. Et je parle German, allemand, English, anglais.
Et je parle allemand, anglais, italien, portugais.
Show off.
Wow.
And that's how you spell wow in French. W-A-O-U-H. Et toi, tu parles... Do you also speak Spanish? Espagnol?
Et toi? Tu parles espagnol aussi?
So this is a second
Ah,
lesson.
je me débrouille.
It gets more and more advanced as time goes by. Select the verb ending and listen. Je parle.
Je parle.
Oui.
Je
Tu
parle.
parles.
Tu parles.
Okay. Il, elle parle.
Il, elle parle.
Nous parlons.
Nous parlons.
Vous parlez.
Vous parlez.
So we're learning a little bit of the
Il,
endings
elle parle.
in French, the verb endings. We'll do some matching. Eventually, I want to get to this part, so I'm sorry I'm running through all of this. Je parle. Do I have to drag it or just tap it? There we go.
Je parle.
Tu parles.
Tu parles.
Il, elle parle.
Il, elle parle.
Nous parlons.
Nous parlons.
Vous parlez.
Vous parlez.
Il, elle parle.
Il, elle parle.
Continuez. Oh. Now, do you remember the right endings? Okay, you speak Italian. Vous parlez italien.
Vous parlez italien.
Je parle anglais.
Je parle anglais.
It is mostly spoken, but notice we are learning, even though they're homophones, they sound the same, the different spellings of the endings for the verb parle. So even though nous parlons
Nous parlons espagnol.
and tu parles, and we know that tu parles sounds the same as with an E, but it's actually ES.
Tu parles allemand.
So you're learning spelling as well. Elle parle.
Elle parle
Suédois.
suédois.
Il parle. I'm sorry, it's taking
Il
so
parle
long
portugais.
because I want to get to the part where they test me.
Je ne
Okay,
parle pas italien.
All right, you get the idea. I'm sorry. As you can say, okay, look at this sentence in the negated form. As you see, the negative form, ne pas. Okay, if the verb begins with an H or a blank, then ne becomes n. Okay, so as you can see, the negative form, ne pas, surrounds the verb.
Zivil.
The verb.
Nous n'habitons pas à Toulouse.
Ne-
Oh, yeah?
Vous n'êtes pas de Paris.
Oui. If a verb begins with a consonant, I'm sorry, with an H, then ne, or a vowel, then it becomes ne. And we'll say vowel. Oui. Do you speak English? This is actually getting hard. Tu parles. Oh, it doesn't like that. It says, tu ne parles anglais. Tu ne parles pas anglais. Okay.
Tu ne parles pas anglais?
Oh, don't you speak English? I thought it was do you speak English? Okay. Don't you speak German? Vous ne parlez pas allemand.
Vous ne parlez pas allemand?
Allemand. Non. Il ne parle pas espagnol.
Il ne parle pas
You're
espagnol.
going to cut all this out, right? I don't live in Lyon. I really don't. Je ne n'habite pas À Lyon.
Je n'habite pas à
I
Lyon.
did, though, because... see, I missed a few. So they're not asking me to speak here. They'll also have a thing where you can say, I want to learn, I want to have a habit. So when would I like to learn? Around breakfast, on the go, around lunchtime? And it will then bug you. It'll say, come on, man, it's time to learn. How often do you want to have a session? I say every day, 8 p.m. Remind me. Oh, I'm going to really regret that. Okay. Now, all of this so far I've done is free. In fact, it's not clear when you first sign up for Babbel. They immediately take you to the paid page. But you can do a certain amount, and I would recommend it. Try it, see if you like it for free, including the part where it listens to you. I think it actually does a fairly good job of listening to see if you're pronouncing it correctly. But both Duolingo and Babbel rely on the Apple speech-to-text engine to figure out if you're speaking properly. And occasionally I've had problems where you'll say it right, but the engine's dumb and doesn't get it. I think actually Babbel does the best job of these. It's fairly inexpensive, or relatively, compared to real lessons. If you buy it for a whole year, $85, you can just go month to month, $16 a month. So I think Babbel, look, if you're going to be teaching a language, what you do miss if you're doing it via Zoom is that opportunity to practice, to do... Even when I was in school, going to school, would go home and do flashcards and do practice. This is a very nice way to do that kind of practice along with the things that you're learning. And it follows along pretty closely with the traditional stuff that you would learn in a language.
Yeah.
Babbel. I think it's pretty good.
I think it is too, yeah. So I wanted to talk, we had Wolfram Alpha on the list as one of the options. That one is $2.99. I mentioned this in an earlier episode, but I want to bring it back because of the fact that you can download it for free, and it is completely free, no in-app purchases or anything like that. And it is an app called Desmos, Graphing Calculator. I can remember back in my day, you had to have a TI-84 or newer graphing calculator in order to take some of the math classes that I took. And those are pretty expensive. And assuming if you're working from home, if you're schooling from home, which is kind of a form of work, then you may not have those same absolute requirements. And even if you do, at least whenever you were in class, at least for me, the school provided some graphing calculators if you weren't able to afford to purchase one of your own. If you're working from home, that could be more difficult. So I wanted to talk about if you do have an iOS device of some sort, then downloading the Desmos graphing calculator. It is a fully featured and kind of all-inclusive graphing calculator that has all sorts of information in it. And if you create an account, then you can actually save your graphs over time, so you can re-access them. But it shows you some examples for basic slope-intercept form, some parabolas. So the quadratic equation would be in here, and then trig information as well. And it goes all the way down to, or I guess all the way up to, statistics and calculus, including derivatives and tangents, etc. So we could choose calculus tangent line, and you can see the formulas we have over here. And you can make adjustments to them to see how that shapes the graph. And you can insert your own bits of data into this. So I could create a new blank graph, maybe. There we go. And do, what is it? A squared, well, let's see. X squared, is it AX squared? It's been a long time. AX squared plus, I wanted to do the quadratic equation, but now I'm forgetting. There we go.
A squared plus...
Is it A squared or is it...
A squared plus 2AB plus B squared. 2AB, isn't it?
I don't remember now. I think it's AX squared. No. Let me see.
Here, let me look it up. This is why parents are going, I don't want to have to teach math. It's too hard. It's just too much. AX squared plus BX plus C equals 0.
Plus BX. Okay. So here we go. Ready? AX squared plus BX plus C equals
0.
0. And then we can graph that. So
you get to choose various values of A and B to see
how it shapes
the graph. This is what I was talking about earlier. I think graphs are a really good way because you start to see the relationships between numbers. And honestly, this is how math, these equations were originally created, is via the geometry of it all. So I think it's very useful to do this.
Yeah.
So
Desmos, as far as I can tell, and as far as I've seen, is just a completely free graphing calculator that really is full featured. And I think that that's pretty incredible. It also has, some online features to let you go and learn a little bit more about these different types of graphs and make adjustments to them. As you can see here, look at all of these different modes, reverse contrast, so you can see them a little bit clearer. Oh, nice and pink there. Grids, arrows, axis numbers. You can see the x-axis, the y-axis. You can make adjustments to radians and degrees. I mean, everything that you might need. Oh, projector mode. That's kind of cool. To show off these different, or to better understand, the formulas that you're working with, I think is all available there. And then there's a share sheet button so that you could share those graphs with whomever you needed to. That's Desmos, available in the App Store for free. Now go ahead.
No, you were about to say
I was actually going to segue to you. I was going to say, what if we're looking for a way to organize as a family, as opposed to just solving homework? You've got a family that's trying to get everything figured out and schedule everything. How do we do it?
What if you're, for instance, Karen Derrico of Doubling Down with the Derricos, who have 14 kids, each of them with their own schedule. And, of course, there's the family schedule. How do you master it? I don't know how she does it. I wouldn't want to be in her shoes. But I will show you how Megan Maroney does it. And she's got a few kids of her own, and she showed this before, and she really likes this. This is a program called Cozi, C-O-Z-I. Now, I will say something. This is a free program. It's created by the Meredith Publishing Group. And the reason it's free is because they gather information and they show ads. There is a Cozi Gold, which one upgrade will do the whole family, which is $30 a year, and I think that that's very reasonable. But I also like it that you can at least try it for free and kind of get a sense of what Cozi can do. It's the ability to make a family calendar. Notice there's ads here. That's what I was warning you about. And they also have a fairly liberal privacy policy, which means those ads are going to be triggered by things that you put in here. Grocery lists, so you have shopping, you have to-do lists. And again, these are all shared, so I only have one member of my family, but as I add kids, there'll be different to-dos for more people in the family. There's the pater familias. I can add more people to the family. There's a journal, there's contacts, there's birthdays. All of this is available for each member of the family. You also get an agenda that will tell you what's going on. It's time to do this. It's time to do that. Cozi is something I never had an occasion to use because, I had to raise my kids back in the days when all we had was, slates and chalk. But if I were a modern parent, I might well be interested in something like this. There are a number of these programs. Some of them are free. Some of them are paid. I think pretty quickly you're going to say, I'm going to pay the $30 a year for Cozi Gold because you're just going to want to get away from all the nags and the ads and so forth. But at least to give it a sense. And I would say of all of them, this is probably the best reviewed of all the family organizing apps. C-O-Z-I. And it's from Meredith, which is a publisher. It's not, it's from a well-known name. They publish People magazine, and they bought Time Life recently and so forth. So they're a good company, and I think this is a good product. C-O-Z-I, Cozi. If you're looking for a way to kind of, and I'm sure this is an issue right now, kids going back to the school, you got to figure out who's Zooming whom, right?
Yep. Now, what do you do if your child runs into an issue, or you yourself as a student run into a problem with homework that you or schoolwork that you don't understand?
I don't understand this.
I don't know what to do.
I don't know, Dad.
Math Solver or Wolfram Alpha or one of these programs doesn't help you out, you can't figure it out with the use of that, well, there is a way that you can get a better understanding of the problems that you're working on. I think it's in math, physics, and chemistry help. That includes algebra, geometry, trig, calculus, physics, chemistry, ACT or SAT, math, homework. Any of those, you can get help using an app called PhotoStudy. PhotoStudy, and I've got to tip my iPad to the side here. PhotoStudy is a pretty cool app that will help you. And I see it's kind of small there, but you'll just have to bear with me, folks. Is an app that not only has a built-in free photo equation solver, so a little bit like Microsoft Math Solver. So if you're not wanting to download a bunch of new apps to your device, then you might just stick with this alone. Although Microsoft Math Solver kind of does it better, I will say that. But if you have a problem that you cannot get figured out, you can get help from an expert, an actual human being expert, including a 10-minute session involving tutoring. So you get a 10-minute chat session with the expert, including diagrams, complex equations, and all of that information. And you can go back to that tutoring session at any time for $3.99. So this, of course, becomes, a pay as you need it model. This is kind of like think of it as a last step. If you absolutely can't get it figured out in some other way, what you do is you can take a photo of the problem, be it again chemistry or what have you, and then you pay $3.99 with Apple Pay or right within the app using in-app purchases to get a session, and someone will go and look at your problem. They will figure it out themselves as the expert, and then they will say, I'm ready. You'll get a notification and you will get to talk to that person and they will explain within that 10-minute session what's going on. What's super cool, there are a few things I want to touch on. So this is from the app description from PhotoStudy. Our live study expert tutors go through a rigorous training and qualification process, and once they become a study expert, they are continuously audited to ensure they continue to deliver the highest level of tutoring. All of the experts have college degrees in math or science and come from different occupations. So they could be a teacher, they could be an engineer, a product manager, but as long as they have a college degree in math or science, and then they can, they can help out and be part of this program.
This is neat. They don't get paid, they just do it for the sheer joy of it.
I don't know that part of it. I mean, so each of them costs $3.99, so they might get a cut of that. Yeah. But another thing that I think is very cool that the app does is you, as the user who has paid the $3.99, after the training session is over, you can choose to share your session within the app. Wow. And then anyone can access that session for free.
Oh, that's nice.
So you will see that here in the, again, it's kind of small, but here in the middle of the page is, let me do this so that it's a little bit bigger here. Get rid of that, and we'll zoom in a little bit. So yeah, here in the middle of the page, you can see these sample sessions, and it also includes within the Academy portion of the app the ability to go in and actually see. So let me zoom out a little bit. This person said, "I need help with this." They sent it in, and then the person, the app itself says, "Okay, I got it." Then the person, the actual human being, says, "I'd love to find out what part you don't understand," and then they show them how to do it. What would you let U be? Are you using U sub? U equals this. And then how do you plug it in? And then the person starts to solve it, and they asked, do you get it? And if they don't get it, they say, I'm still confused. I just don't get this part. And the person continues to help them until they understand. You can actually see, oh, okay, I got it.
That's really
And then
cool.
the person's very excited. I love this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're getting basically tutoring, but very low cost. I mean, $3
very
is
low,
nothing.
Yeah, $3. Exactly. And so this, like I said, I love this as an idea where I can't figure it out. My Google searches aren't coming up with an answer that I can help my student with. The student can't come up with an answer. let's go talk to an expert in this very specific case. So yeah, I mean, you're not going to $3.99 every single problem, but if you can get the basics and the understanding, as we've talked about before, then oftentimes that's going to help you understand how to solve the rest of the problems that you're working on.
That's a very nice find. I really like that. What's it called again?
It's called PhotoStudy, and it's available to download for free with a $3.99 per session purchase. They also recently added a feature where you can just pay a per month payment, and then you get to ask as many times as you want within that month.
Nice.
So yeah, pretty cool.
It's the kind of thing we need, I think.
I agree.
I'm all used up.
I'm good. Yeah.
There's obviously lots more. I think the iPad is a really great tool for your student, for home. Not everyone can afford one, but if you've already got one, I think you can also Zoom on it, so you can attend classes. And I think there are a lot of really nice educational apps for it. Most schools now, I think, are using Chromebooks. And some of these things you could probably do on a Chromebook, but a lot of them you can't. And I think there's a lot of really nice stuff on the iPad. The good news is the starting point for iPads now, $329, really makes them, I think, a lot more accessible for a lot more families, you know, even if you have to share them. Thank you, Mikah. Our show today brought to you by Hover.
I love Hover.
What's your favorite domain name that you have? I think Chihuahua.coffee is pretty good.
Chihuahua.coffee is pretty good.
Pretty good.
It's not the one that's not my favorite, but that I enjoy is Slofi.net and Slofi.org.
You got that on this show.
Yes.
When Apple was talking about it was Apple, right? That was talking about their slow-mo selfies. By the way, that didn't really take off, did it, now that I think about it?
No, I haven't done any
slow. The next big thing. You did too. That's why you immediately ran out and went to hover.com and registered it with one little problem.
I just misspelled it. Maybe it's the thing that I did. And
you
so now,
IE instead of Y,
or it was PH, SLOPH instead of SLOF. So SLOPHIE.org and .net.
You have.
If you go to those, then you will see the actual moment where I did that.
See, that's a good point, by the way. You saw. So there are a couple of things. First of all, Hover makes it very easy, maybe too easy. To register a domain name. He did that while we were on the air. He ran off. He said, I got to get this now before anybody else did. And good news, you're the only one who has it. But you also, which is great, you took a YouTube clip and you made the site go there. That's another thing that Hover does really well. It makes it very easy to modify your DNS settings. Something like that, a simple forward, it's just a click and a paste and you're done. You can also have your email. I think we've talked about this before. I even did a whole Ask the Tech Guy on getting your own custom email domain. Having your own domain is so important, whether you're an individual. I think, honestly, the best gift you can give a newborn is their name as a domain, right?
You know what? Maybe I need to get on that for my niece now that I think about it.
May not be too late. Yeah, no, it's good because your niece has an unusual name. If your niece's name were Jenny Smith, it would be a little harder. And I think parents should keep this in mind when they name children now. You're looking for an available domain name. Go to hover.com, type in those names. You'll find one. You can register. And by the way, I love it. It's not just .com, .net, .org. It's also, there's 400. .coffee, .photo, .ninja. If you have a little Republican that's just been born, .Republican, little Democrat, .Democrat. You can do all sorts of fun things. If you have a family member that is a Democrat and you want to tease them, register their newborn's name as .Republican.
Oh, my God.
Always
Leo,
good for a laugh.
Oh, God.
It's so easy at hover.com. And now that's the individual. If you're starting a business, you must know this. Nobody. And even if you're a handyman, even if you clean gutters, you shouldn't be at hotmail.com. You shouldn't be at yahoo.com. You should have your business name as your domain name. Hover is the place to go for any entrepreneur who wants to start their business with a domain that really showcases the business, who they are, what they do. It's easy. If you have any questions, Hover has the best technical support in the world. I love them. They're Canadian, of course. They're nice people. The support team And Hover itself never tries to upsell you. You go to other places, like, I won't mention any names, but if you go to other places, you will have 10 pages of things they'll try to sell you before you actually get that domain name. Maybe Mikah right now wishes he'd had all those pages to slow him down. But no, Hover didn't get in the way. One thing they know you want is domain privacy. Normally, when you register a domain name, your name, address, and phone number become part of a public record. Most people prefer not to do that. I would recommend you don't do that. So you can use domain privacy, which is free with Hover. They know you want that. It's built into the price. The UI is very easy to navigate. As I mentioned, they have the best DNS management, and they will handle DNS for pretty decent sites. But as I often do for the sites of mine that get the most traffic, I can very easily redirect my DNS to somebody, a big DNS serving company, that kind of thing. I think it works in every respect. It works so well, I moved all my domains over to Hover some years ago. So did Steve Gibson. So does everybody I know. Hover's the place to go. It's not hard to see why Hover is the choice for people starting businesses or with newborn babies or just want to have their email go to their special address. And by the way, if you're getting a website, keeping the domain name separate from the hosting is super important. You don't want to link those together. And you never want to let that consultant register the domain name for you, because then they own it, not you. It's so easy to do at Hover. There's no reason not to do it. We'll get you 10% off your first purchase of any domain extension for the entire first year. It's Hover, hover.com/twit. Get a domain name that really represents you and your passion. Go to hover.com/twit. And I check back all the time because they have big sales all the time on popular domain names. They had .art last month. It was great. They all the time. So if you look for those, I got .blog some years ago when that was on sale. If you're looking around and you want some ideas, just go to hover.com/twit. 10% off your domain extension, your first one for a full year. We love Hover. We thank them for their support and for helping us, perhaps a little too hastily, register the domain names of our lives.
While Leo was talking, I scooped up a domain for my niece. So
Did you?
It's that easy.
That's how easy it is.
Super easy.
And
it works with Apple Pay too, which is nice.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Did you get
first
.com?
name, middle name.com. Yeah. First name, middle name.com.
I think that's a good gift. One thing, and I wish I had known this or thought of this when my kids were born. Of course, again, we didn't really have the internet then. I did get their domain names. But .com for both of them. But what I didn't do, and I wish I had thought of this, set up an email at those domain names and then mail them.
Oh, that's so cute.
Letters from their daddy over the periods of them growing up. And then, you hand them, instead of the keys to the car when they're 16, you maybe wait till they're 21, you hand them the keys to the domain and you say, by the way, there might be some mail there for you.
Oh, that's really cute.
I'm making myself cry already.
I know.
Put
that's
pictures
so
there,
sweet.
put all that stuff.
Oh, photos of them. Oh,
Yeah.
man. I'm going to have to talk to my sister now.
We do a
and
baby
say,
book, and it's wasted because the kids don't want to see it. But they will be very glad if you do that, I think.
That's so sweet.
Aw.
What a
Just
good idea.
thought. Just a thought. All right, let's get some news. What's going on?
Well, wanted to start with, you and I have both talked about our favorite calendar app, and that is Fantastical.
We should have mentioned that actually in the previous segment because they have a new feature.
Yeah, precisely. And so going from that segment to this works perfectly for both. If you are looking for a way to organize your family and you want a calendar that's better than the built-in calendar that comes with iOS, Fantastical is an easy recommendation. And as of today, Flexibits has launched Fantastical Premium for families. For $65 a year or $7.99 a month, you can have 5 family members. You can add 5 family members to the subscription for Fantastical Premium. So this will give you full functioning access to Fantastical Premium and give that to your family as well. I'm definitely thinking about it because I think it would be great to invite, family members to this and show them the world of calendaring outside of the basic calendar app for iOS.
And of course, they'll each get their own account, which is nice. So they have a private calendar, but you can then have a shared calendar as well, a family calendar or multiple family calendars that you control, that you share over to them. So I think it's just a nice way to do that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, and so we'll include the link so you can read about what Fantastical has, what makes it better than the basic calendar. There's a lot that you can go back to in iOS Today episodes and learn about what we've liked about Fantastical over the third-party things. But I got to tell you, in this new work from home era, one of my favorite features of Fantastical is the ability to join video chats very simply. So I get calendar invites all the time. There's just a simple join button. And instead of it, popping up a website that then launches an application or anything like that, it just goes directly to the proper application, the proper website, and gets me started with that video call. So I'm never late to my video calls. They just are there and available. So check that out.
That's how you do it.
That's how you do it.
Good lesson.
Then I wanted to talk about Google Maps. So, Apple Maps is an app that a lot of people use and are just fine with. But
we're forced to use it.
Right.
Because it has features, particularly with the Apple Watch, nobody else can have. When this first came out, we were visiting London, and I loved getting the walking instructions. Instead of having to stare at my phone as I'm walking around town.
Looking like a tourist.
It's on the watch, and it goes bzz, bzz, and it turn left, turn right. And I thought that was such a nice feature, and it's the only reason I started using Apple Maps. It was a good selling point for them, is that was the only app that could do that.
Now, Google Maps is back on the Apple Watch.
Yay.
It was at one point, but it wasn't in its full functioning features. And so they took it away for a while, but it's back on the Apple Watch. So you can see your ETA, you get turn-by-turn directions on it, which is fantastic. And a new feature. So Google Maps has been available on CarPlay, which is Apple's sort of in-the-car infotainment display system. And it's been on CarPlay as an app where you launch it and you can see your directions, you can get directions to the next place. But what it didn't have until now, as of today, is the ability to work as part of CarPlay Dashboard. So what's CarPlay Dashboard? Well, when CarPlay was updated, it added a feature that would let you see all of your basic information. You can see the music that's playing. You can see turn-by-turn directions in Apple Maps, and you would have a little dashboard on the side that had quick launch ability. So you'd see your phone's current battery, the time, and some other information. But there were only certain apps that would work with the dashboard, and Google Maps was not one of those. So you'd have to launch it, you'd leave the dashboard, which had more information on it, and then you wouldn't have as much control. Google Maps is now also part of CarPlay Dashboard, and Google says that it's compatible with all CarPlay supported vehicles globally, so you'll be able to see that anywhere. And get ready for it to come to Apple Watch. The rollout starts as Google says, coming weeks.
Someday I'll have a CarPlay capable car.
I know.
Can't wait. Actually, I do have one. It's the Chevy Bolt, but I don't drive that so much. Mostly it's Lisa and Michael. My next car. My next car.
Still coming?
Yeah.
Someday?
Coming at the end of the year. I'm going to get that new electric Ford Mustang Mach-E, and I'll have both Android Auto and CarPlay, and wireless too, which is nice.
Yeah, and by that time, probably car key as well.
Well, that's interesting, because Ford has an app that does that, Ford Pass. So yes, I can unlock the car with my phone. I wonder if they'll make it work with car key, the new feature in iOS 14. I hope so.
I hope so too.
Yeah.
Especially, they've got time now.
Right now, you got to buy a BMW just to use it. I'm not doing that. No way.
Yeah, I don't have time for that.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
So one of the things that we talked about when Apple hosted its Apple event, its keynote, where it announced the new versions of iOS, watchOS, tvOS, etc., was a pretty cool feature on watchOS, the new version, watchOS 7, that would work with you while you were washing your hands. And so essentially, and I hate this word, but it would sense the squish of soap as well as the running of water and the movement of your hands, and use those together to set a timer for 20 seconds of actual scrubbing before you rinse off. And great feature. I've been using it as part of the watchOS 7 beta, developer beta, for a while. But now anyone can join the watchOS 7 public beta that has officially launched. So folks that want to give this a go can do so. It will come with the hand washing features and some of the other new features that are available in watchOS 7. But where normally we would say, be careful, you might have to reset your device if you run into issues, etc., we have to say with particular clarity and I don't know, really driving home the point, listen, be very, very careful when you install this beta on your watch, because you may run into an issue where the only way to fix your watch is if you send it into Apple to have them fix it.
Good. That's not good. Yeah, I'm doing the iOS 14 on iPhone and on iPad, but no way I'm doing watchOS 7 on my watch. Beta 7 on my watch.
Fair.
No
fair
way.
And safe.
No way.
Yeah, I think that's safe. Next, have you heard of Setapp, Leo?
No, what's that?
So Setapp is this service that lets you pay a subscription each month. I believe it's $9.99 a month. Yeah. And for $9.99 a month, you get access to a bunch of Mac apps. So Setapp is a subscription service essentially for Mac apps. These are, curated choices. There's Gemini, which is Gemini Photos on iOS.
Nice.
To Do, Ulysses. Some of these you've probably heard of. MindNode, Clean My Mac, Bartender,
I know all
iStat Menus.
Good.
Those are all good apps.
But that's the Mac version.
This is the Mac version, yes. And so this has been out for a while. Wallpaper Wizard, that's another one that I use and enjoy. All of these apps, super great apps, and you can get them for $9.99 a month. And for as long as you're paying the subscription, you have access to all of these apps, download them, install them on your device. Now, what Setapp has done is come out with a version of Setapp for iOS.
Boy, am I surprised, actually. Because this seems like the kind of thing Apple wouldn't allow. Well, we're going to get to the problems with these gaming libraries, like Facebook games, which can only have one game, and Stadia and xCloud. Apple doesn't want people to have stores set up on iOS. So they must have found Setapp mustn't do it that way. It's just a subscription, and you install the full versions of those apps, I guess. And Apple takes their 30%, I guess.
So this is what's interesting. For $4.99 a month, you can get you can add to your Setapp subscription the ability.
So you already have to have the $10 a month Mac one, and then you add. Well,
so it says, this is what it says. Anyone with an iOS device is eligible. If you're currently a Setapp member, you'll need to add an iOS device to your account. Every new device you add costs $4.99 a month. So it appears that you can get it on iOS alone, but using it as a Mac person first will get you the $4.99 a month price. So what you'll have to do is it uses QR codes. Essentially, you get the app on your Mac, and you open an app, and then you scan the QR code, and it will install the app from the App Store. Now, here's what's interesting about this. James Thompson, friend of the show, James Thompson, and developer of pCalc and Dice by pCalc, which is the dice rolling app, says this on Twitter. So they are distributing the apps via the App Store and unlocking functionality via a QR code. That seems unwise. And here's where things get interesting. Specifically thinking of section 3.1.1 of the guidelines. Yep. Right in the Apple guidelines, apps may not use their own mechanisms to unlock content or functionality, such as license keys, augmented reality markers, QR codes, etc. So, folks, I don't know how long this is going to last or be available on iOS. I don't know what if Setapp understood something that we don't understand and has figured out a way around this, how this works. I don't know. It works great on the Mac. I will say that. I've used Setapp in the past. I ended up not liking having to manage everything from one place, and I kind of wanted to have direct access to the apps that I used, and then there were a bunch that I just didn't use. So I decided to get the ones that I wanted and have my, individual relationship, so to speak, with those individual app developers.
Sure, but sounds like an app store on iOS.
On iOS.
Not run by Apple. But, well, who knows? We'll see what happens. I feel like they're going to run into some headwinds on this, but maybe not. I mean, it's on the store now, right? It isn't on the App Store. It's on
because
the Mac.
It doesn't need to be. Yeah.
And yeah.
Essentially, what you do is that each of these apps have added a new feature where, say you download an app called Doo-Wop, and it's a beat making machine, and you can download the app for free, but it's an in-app purchase to add all of the features that you want.
Right.
Then it adds another feature. Instead of paying the in-app purchase to add all of the features, you scan the QR code and it unlocks those extra features.
This is going to be around next week. There's no way. Well, maybe.
It'll be interesting. I'm looking forward to watching this play out. That's what I'll say.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Oh, I wanted to talk about this because this is an issue my partner runs into all the time. So he works as a barista right now, and when people come in because they've got a special process with plexiglass and all this other stuff and all these stickers, and you got to go here and you got to walk here, and there's a process. And of course, many of them don't follow it. And when they're asked to follow it, then they turn evil and start being horrible people. But in the midst of all of that, one of the things that is required is that you have to wear a face covering in order to enter the store. Well, a lot of folks are, opening up their Starbucks app, and maybe they don't have the money on their card that they wanted, so they go in to add money to their Starbucks card, or they're just going to pay with Apple Pay or one of these things. And so they lift up the phone to their face, they pull down their face mask to run Face ID, to unlock their phone or authorize the payment, and then they put their face mask back up afterward, completely removing the whole point of wearing the face mask in the first place, to keep people safe. And the MTA has noticed this as an issue because people who use their phones for Face ID are pulling down their masks to run Face ID. And so New York's Mass Transit Agency says, Apple, we really need you to come up with a better way for iPhone users to unlock their phones without taking off their masks.
Who knew, though? Apple, how could they have known?
Right.
It does seem like such a good idea.
It did. And here's what Apple did in the beginning was previously, whenever you did the Face ID while you were wearing your mask, it would error, and then let you type in your passcode. Apple released an update that would notice that you had a face covering on and would immediately show you, okay, type in your passcode now.
Right.
That's all that's been done so far.
Well, that's all they can do. Although I have heard people say, I have been able to train face recognition with a mask, but I think I don't know, would you have to wear the same mask every day?
I tried doing that, and it would not let me.
Yeah. It's not a face.
I don't know. It's not a face. And I think now that it can recognize when someone's wearing a face covering, even more so, it knows that it's not a face. Yeah. So I don't know what Apple can do in response to this, but I think one of the things that would be beneficial is if there was a notification of some sort that when you scanned it while you were wearing a face mask, it said, I notice you're wearing a face mask, type in your passcode, as opposed to just giving that basic and then doing it. If it says, you have to type in a passcode to do this, that's a little bit more information that someone might not be thinking about.
Yeah. And
then them pulling down their face mask and endangering other people in that way. So
Can I make a plea? Bring back Touch ID. It can have it and Face ID at the same time. There's actually very good Touch ID. This is the new inexpensive Motorola Edge phone, and it has an optical reader in the.
That's pretty.
It's a pretty phone. It's Android. That's the only drawback. But see, there's a fingerprint reader in the phone. Now watch how fast it is. It's fine.
Whoa.
Right? It's fine, and it gives you a little look. Says do it here. I've registered 4 different fingerprints on it.
This is who?
this
Who
is
makes it?
this is a Motorola.
So that's Google, right?
Yeah, no, they sold it.
It's Motorola.
It's Lenovo, believe it or not, makes this.
Oh.
This is an inexpensive phone. OnePlus uses the same optical technology. Optical through the screen fingerprint readers work quite well these days, I think. I've actually added, they have a choice of animations when you use it. So I've added a big bright rainbow one to let me know I've hit the button and it's about, I don't know, would you say half a second? It's pretty quick.
Yeah, that doesn't take long at all. And
Quick
especially
enough.
in comparison to typing in your passcode if you're wearing a face mask versus, putting your finger there, that's so much faster.
Yeah.
I would love to have both. I would love to have both.
And while you're at it, can you bring back the headphone jack too, Apple? Because Touch
Let's
ID.
write a letter.
That's why I like this. Has a headphone jack and Touch ID. It's kind of a retro Android.
Oh, look at it. Old man phone.
Like the old days. Like in the good old days. Headphone jack
You and I
and Touch
will
ID.
write a letter to Tim Cook. And the Associated Press will cover it.
Or get an iPhone SE, which does have Touch ID, but doesn't unfortunately have a headphone jack. Alas.
I'm afraid that the next phone might be completely portless. That's scary to me.
Yeah, this is the theory now, the thinking on this, and again, it's all rumor. We don't know. Will it be this fall? Will it be next year? We don't know. But the theory is it'll have the same smart connectors you have right now on the iPad, and you'll be able to charge, as you can with the iPad, you'll be able to charge through those. So it's actually a good idea. Then there's no, openings. It's flush. It's flat.
But can I do transfers through that? Because I install betas, and I don't want to have to send in my phone like I have to send in my watch. That's the one. That's where I'm concerned. With a port, I can fix the phone or iPad myself, but I can't do that with the Apple Watch.
I think what they're going to do, but I don't know, is have a dongle that goes whack onto the little, smart connectors, and then is a Type C or a Lightning port. So I'm going to guess yes, but this is all very speculative. No one knows what it's going to do. Yeah,
we'll see.
Should we take a little breaky wakey?
Yeah, before we come back with feedback.
Feedback? You got feedback?
I got feedback, but it's not in my ears. It's on the document.
Feedback next. What is this feedback we should explain?
It's
from the
listeners.
listeners.
It's listeners writing in questions, writing in thoughts.
What's that address? What's that email address? Follow-up.
I almost said STT@twit.tv. That is not it. It is iOS Today. iOS Today.
You get the wrong show on here.
.tv.
I know you do other shows. This is the show you do with me.
If you want to ask iOS or you want to share your thoughts and follow-up, it's Ask iOS. Or it's iOS Today at twit.tv.
Twit.tv.
Whew.
Okay.
All right. Up first, and Leo, I'm going to need you to play this. I've included a Dropbox link. This is some audio follow-up on rotation and rotation lock from George. So last week we we heard from a listener who was asking about how their friend could show their phone as using their phone for Zoom, but they wanted to be able to use it in landscape orientation. And when they changed it to landscape orientation, it was not switching from portrait to landscape. And so we talked about how sometimes you're going to have to take it out of the mount and sort of move it physically. And George was pointing out something to do with the sensors for your phone, your Apple Watch, your iPad, etc. And so here is a little bit of audio from George.
Hey guys, George Wagner from Asheville, North Carolina again. I was listening to the August 4th episode, and you were talking about the rotation lock. One thing a lot of people don't realize is that the accelerometer is triggered by gravity. If the phone is in too flat of an orientation, rotating it will accomplish nothing. It needs to have a little bit of an upward angle. Generally, when you're holding it facing you, you're good, but if it's in a situation where it's maybe laying flat on a table, it won't rotate if you turn it unless you tip it up so that gravity pulls down on it so that it knows where down is and knows where to rotate properly. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thanks, George. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So I know it was a little hard to hear him because he was on his phone, but basically the rotation, the iPad and iPhone don't know what the rotation is unless there is an edge that's lower than the other edge because it's using gravity. So tilt it, and it will rotate in that direction. Otherwise, it will open. I'll have to notice that the next time it does it, it opens upside down.
Yeah. What's going on?
I'll have to see. Maybe it's tilted back a little bit or something like that. Yeah. That's a good. Appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you, George. And actually, one more from George. We talked the episode iOS Today number 507. You and I talked about the difference between. I asked you the difference between geek and nerd, and George sent us little documents kind of explaining the difference between those, and I thought it was cute, and so I thought I would share that with the listeners as well.
You want me to show it, or
I think I can pull it up here.
Okay, there you go.
So yeah, it's the Geek Hierarchy, and it has geek at the top, and a geek is a person who understands, creates, and fixes really cool stuff. Then a nerd is a person who understands and collects really cool stuff. And down at the bottom is a dork who is confused by really cool stuff. So there's the difference between a geek, a nerd, and a dork. What's interesting is I have a shirt that says nerd on it. And I don't know. I think it could be a difference in generations. I did collect the shirt, yeah. And I certainly understand things, but I don't know if it's just a difference in generations that has changed the meaning of nerd for me. But yeah, geek, I like that. I like these different definitions and how different people see those terms. So thank you, George, for that as well. All right, next one comes from Jim. This is a question. My Apple Watch will turn on running or bicycling apps and stop, skip, or change podcasts while I'm working in the rain. I'm a mail carrier.
Oh, no.
I think that the warm wetness acts like a touch on the watch, but when I am riding my motorcycle, the dry sleeve of my riding jacket does the same thing, but is usually affecting Pandora. It is a Series 1, so the question is, can I do anything to stop this, and would a new watch do the same thing? Well, Jim, I've got an answer for you. As Apple improved upon the technology in Apple Watch, it also improved upon the chassis of the Apple Watch. And with the newer cases came better water protection. And when it added better water and dust protection, it added a feature that would let you enable a special water mode on the Apple Watch. This mode would allow you to, and let me see if I can't do a little camera session here to show you. This would allow you to basically disable the capacitive screen on the Apple Watch for that period of time in order to still have your Apple Watch and use it, but not have it be an issue kind of while you are doing whatever it is that you happen to be doing. So in your case, being out and about, you have that problem of having the Apple Watch register touches whenever you don't want it to. And so let me see here. I'm going to switch over to this mode. And now you can see. So on the Apple Watch here, you can swipe up from the bottom to access the control center. And then within Control Center, again, this is kind of tough here as I'm trying to show you, there's a little water button. And when you press that water button, it turns on the mode that now touching the phone, or the watch rather, does not do anything to activate stuff on the screen. So it will bring up, if it's turned off, touching it will bring it up and turn it on, but it does not do anything outside of that. The only way to reactivate full capacitive touch is by turning the digital crown. And when you turn the digital crown, then it will emit, you got to fill up the little thing there. Now, when you do so, it emits a sound from the speaker that will push water out of the speaker. So it's great because it does multiple things with your iPhone. It's not just it's not just simply disabling the capacitive touch, but it also protects your phone because the speaker will have the water sent out of it. But yeah, it sounds like you have a watch that is too old in that sense, is an earlier version of the watch that, they kind of didn't recommend that you go digging around or splashing around in water. And so that mode to turn on the water mode that keeps it from having capacitive touch registered is the issue. So you did ask, would a new watch do the same thing? With that mode turned on, it would not do the same thing, meaning that you would not register those capacitive touches when you didn't want it to.
Okay.
All right.
Are you ready to put on a funny hat?
Yeah, let's go ahead and put on a funny hat for app caps.
Put on a funny hat. Our app caps are next. And I, today, for our App Cap Award, am going to wear my name is Captain Spaulding, the African Explorer. I am wearing a pith helmet. You, in an amazing coincidence, are wearing a Mountie hat.
Yes, it is a little tiny for my big, large head. But,
wow, your head is big, because that hat fits me.
Wow.
You have a massive noggin.
Massive melon.
Massive melon. Start with your app cap of the week, Massive Melon.
I
Mikah.
will. My app cap of the week is a free app you can download that is just available for the Apple Watch. So this is one of those rare apps that is not tied to an iPhone app. When you go to the App Store, it'll be available for your Apple Watch. You get it directly there. And it is an app called Thwip.
Thwip?
I can't really... Thwip. Yes, and Thwip is an app that is basically a soundboard for your Apple Watch. It lets you play sounds on your Apple Watch, and it is quite lovely. So I am going to switch camera modes over here again so you can see how this app works. And here we go. Back to the screen. All right. So let me adjust my wrist here a little bit.
I love this idea, to be able to play sound effects as I walk around.
Isn't that lovely?
It will be so much fun. Of course, it's out of the watch's speakers, so only you will hear them, but still.
Well, actually, so surprisingly, the speaker is not too quiet on the Apple Watch. Now, you folks might have trouble
I've actually had
hearing
phone
this.
calls with the Apple Watch, so you're right. You can, without holding it to my ear.
I'll show it here, and then I'm going to bring it up to the microphone so that you can hear it a little bit better afterward. But essentially, you've got an air horn, you've got drums, so you can make a joke, and then
Well, you don't get to choose the sound effect. You can only use the ones they provide.
Correct.
Oh, I was going to have my theme song installed.
I'm hoping that a future version of this app does include the ability to sort of sideload. But I think that the whole point of this was to create an Apple Watch only app.
That's quick and
I don't know
easy.
that you could do that. Yeah, if it didn't have an app counterpart. This is the sound from Inception. Yeah. This is a little ta-da sound. And then
there's
you've
4
got
pages, so you get a lot.
Yeah, and then this mode is funny. This is web slinger mode, and I'm going to take the Apple Watch and I'm going to move it a little bit because I'll show you how this is meant to be held.
Sling it?
Yeah, so you can look at my pet rock while I'm getting this set up.
Is that a boy rock or a girl rock? Do we know?
I don't know. Its name is actually Mikah.
That's quite attractive. It's prettier than the average rock.
It is indeed. And just like a pet rock should be, prettier than the average rock. So I think it's really cute. Now, let me launch Thwip again. Okay, so you are meant to hold the watch in this format, and then you can web sling. So it says, close your eyes and pretend you're Spider-Man, basically.
Oh, I get it. So you're holding your Spider-Man hand,
like,
and then you press the button. But in order to do this, you really have to wear your watch on your hand.
And yeah, in a very strange way. But just like at least one or two of the Spider-Man versions that don't have actual webs built into the wrist, but instead have to have the device. So let me play some of the, I want to play a couple of the sounds for you just so you can hear them. And so we'll start with the air horns. That's my favorite one.
Well, that's pretty good. That's loud.
Here's ta-da.
Okay.
And then here is...
Do you have a rim shot so I can tell dad jokes and the kids will know to laugh? Yeah! I don't get no respect. I love it.
Yeah, and then, of course, I got to play the web slinger.
What is that? Oh, that's the web. Yeah.
Yeah. So that, folks, is an entirely free app you can download directly to your Apple Watch called Thwip. And it is available in the App Store for Apple Watch. Thwip.
So get the rim shot ready. I just want to do a little practice.
All right, let's do it.
Hey kids, how do you get a squirrel to like you? Act like
How?
a nut. It works. It works. I'm suddenly funny.
I'm laughing. Ha ha.
I'm going to get that one. That is a great app. You can play your own rim shots.
All righty, Leo, what do you got for us?
What do you call someone with no body and no nose? Nobody knows.
I'm not back in the app, so I can't do it.
You see, you're not my rim shot wingman anymore.
You got to get it. You got to get it yourself.
Get your own wing.
Get your own Thwip.
Get your own wing shot. All right, so this is one actually I wanted to show when it came out a couple of weeks ago, but now that we're doing families stuck in quarantine together, I thought this would be a good time to show it. Apple has, of course, its own family settings on the iPad, but Microsoft thought, well, let's get in the game with our very own version of this. It's an iPhone, but I'm going to show it on the iPad so you can see it nice and big. It's Microsoft Family Safety. Explore safely. Make sure your kids view content and play games that are right for their age with content filters. Game responsibly. Keep an eye on what games your kids are playing, as well as who they're playing with on Xbox Live. That's nice, right? It's Microsoft-centric, of course. Create healthy habits. No more arguing. Set it and forget it with a balanced daily limit on your kids' devices and apps. And find your family member, see your family members on the map, and stay connected wherever you are. Some of these features are available in other form on the iPhone. For this, you need to have a Microsoft account. So when you sign in, silly mask man, it'll ask you for a variety of permissions. This is the location sharing, and of course, you have to allow that. In fact, I would probably say always allow, and you notice you
pause really quick. Yeah. Oh, never mind. I was just going to say, this is a new feature that's going to be in iOS 14, and it is a precise location versus sort of estimated location. And what it does is it gives the app as little information as it possibly can for your location. So you can set it to say, instead of telling them exactly where I am, what I want you to do is give a location that's approximate. It's in this area, but I don't need the app to know precisely where I am.
In this case,
so for some apps, you'd want that.
Are you wearing a mask?
Can you tell? You can hear it?
Yes. I'm glad you're staying healthy. That's all I care about. I don't mind. I'm wearing a pith helmet, so I'm no one to complain. So let's go back to the app. Where was I? Oh, yes, precise location. And I think always is probably good for this app. So you're going to have to go in the settings to turn that on, because this is the part where, you can always see where your kids are, right? So you kind of want always. Now I'm going to start using family safety. So I had set this up, as you can see, with my daughter and my son. Neither one of them are sharing their location. So for that, you'll have to go tell them, share your location. But as you can see, here's my location. And what's nice is I'd be able to see this on the map, kind of like Harry Potter, or I can see it as a list too, which is really cool. I think that's a nice feature. That's my family group. I could add other people to my family group. I am the organizer. I can set reminders here and requests. What else can I do? Where else can I do? It seems like that's it. Well, that was a
Is it because it's
app.
on iOS? Is that the deal?
I wonder if
it doesn't give you as
iOS
much power.
Now I'm wondering if I'm having problems because it's iOS 14. I'm wondering. Do you think that's what's going on?
It could be, but I'm also thinking, like, how can a third-party app limit screen time on an iOS device?
Right.
Or track screen time.
Well, they do it on the
iOS
Xbox.
device.
That's the idea, right?
Oh, okay. So it's Microsoft devices like, okay, yeah, Microsoft Edge on Windows, Xbox, and Android devices entirely. That's interesting.
Right. So let's do the location thing here real quickly. What was it? Family safety, right? Turn on, always on. Okay. Okay, now let's go back to this. Start using family safety. Okay, now, Michael's an organizer. The hell are they talking about? Those are my children I'm talking about.
I'm the organizer.
All right. I'm going to add you then, Mikey.
Right.
So I have to add them via email or phone number.
All right.
I will. Let me see. I'm going to do this. I'll do Mikah at twit.tv, right?
That works.
I'm going to add you. You're going to be my new child. This way I can keep an eye on you at all times.
Oh, dear.
Let's spell TWiT right. It's only 4 letters, but every one of them counts. Okay, TV. All right. What role? See, I made the mistake of making like those kids organizers. They're really members. Okay, now you're going to get an invite to my family group, and that's a pending invite.
Okay.
And as soon as you get that, you will join my family. Why did I make these guys organizers? That was kind of dumb.
You were hurrying through, maybe.
I can't believe I made them organizers. I think
Join now.
Yes. As soon as he joins, he will appear as a family member.
Join the family.
Join the family. Mikah joined the family group. Woohoo! So, I don't know.
I can see the 3 organizers.
Now Mikah's connected. Okay. Now, finally, because I set it up wrong with my kids, I can see, fortunately, how Mikah's doing. You have to ask your child to turn on activity reporting. So iOS does apparently allow that, but the child has to turn that on. Presumably, if they're your kid, you have some control of that. You can also set up content filters, and it's age-based. So I'm going to say Micah's 12. So I'm going to have the 12-year-old age-based content filter. I can also add web filters in inappropriate websites. Unfortunately, this is kind of limited. It only works with Microsoft Edge and Internet Explorer on Windows 10. It's a Microsoft product, so it's going to presume you're using Microsoft products. If you are using an Xbox One, and I presume when the new Xboxes come out, it'll work with the Series X as well. And then I'm going to only allow them to use... So you can whitelist or you can blacklist. So only let them use allowed sites is what we call a whitelist. You decide which websites you want them to be on. To be politically correct, I'm not going to call them whitelists and blacklists anymore. I'm going to call this the allow list. Doesn't that make more sense? And the blocked list. That makes a lot more sense. So the allowed list will be websites like, for instance, YouTube Kids, right? Kids.youtube.com I could add on there, and we could save that out. So right now it's a little bit limited, but if you are a regular user, we can see the activity reporting once they turn that on of Microsoft products.
Did.
You have turned that on?
Just so you could see.
Thank you. So nice of you.
How this works.
So now that you've turned that on, I can crash the program.
I crashed it at the exact same time, funny enough.
Let's try that again. Let's turn on activity reporting. There we go. So I can see their settings, but only they can change them because he's old enough now, unfortunately. So I'll turn on activity reporting, app and game limits, web and search filters.
That crashed my app.
This is pretty much the worst app cap I've ever selected. Microsoft made a big deal about putting this out for iOS. There was some question about whether you need this compared to iOS. I think unless you use Windows 10 and Xbox, you're probably okay. But the Apple, as you know, the Apple version of this doesn't check in on Xbox use and Windows 10 usage. So you might actually want to use both of them if you're using Windows 10 at home, particularly for schooling, or if you're using if your kid likes his Xbox. You can limit the ages, you can limit the amount of time they spend. And Mikah, you know what? I'm going to turn off all limits because God knows you should be able to do whatever the heck you want now that you're 12.
Yeah, let's hope that I can remove my account from this so that I'm not permanently limited.
Wouldn't that be funny? Leo has permanent control of Micah's account. I'll tell you what, I'm going to boot you out of the family right now. I'm going to
crash my app, so that's good.
It's a good sign. I'm going to say any age, anything he wants, and then I wonder if I can boot him out. Wouldn't that be sad if I couldn't?
Yeah, if I'm stuck there now.
Doesn't look like I can.
Oh my God.
Wait a minute.
So,
wait a minute.
So do you recommend this app for?
Wait a minute. It's like the Hotel California.
Oh no, I've checked in and I'll never be able to check out of Leo's family.
I know where you are. How the hell do I get you out of here? Oh my God. This is a nightmare. I'm sorry, Mikah, but you just have to follow the rules.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Didn't
what have I done?
we tell you that when you got your job here?
Yeah, join my family safety account.
That's part of the deal.
Keep an eye on you.
We give you the phone, but we control it. I will, after the show, call Microsoft and get you taken off of my account. Thank you. And I apologize. Maybe this wasn't the best app cap I've ever done.
Maybe don't do Microsoft Family Safety and just stick with Apple's safety tools.
No, but
it's
it's true. If you want to do Windows 10 and you want to do Xbox, you need this additional thing. And that's the real value of it. And that, my friends, is the end of our friendship. I'm sorry, Mikah. Please forgive me. Mikah and I do this show every Tuesday, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern time. That's 1600 UTC. If you want to watch live, you can. We stream audio and video at twit.tv/live. But, of course, the real fun comes with the permission to listen anytime you want with our on-demand versions of the show. They call them podcasts. That's why you can use your favorite podcast app to subscribe and listen at your leisure. You can also download back episodes at twit.tv/iOS. And there's a whole YouTube channel devoted to iOS today. Mikah Sargent will be back on Thursday with Tech News Weekly. Of course, every Monday he does Smart Tech Today. He's a busy guy. Thank you, Mikah. Have a great week.
You're very welcome.
And don't forget, you can email us, iOStoday@twit.tv. We'll see you next time on iOS Today. Bye-bye.
I'm Jason Howell, host of Tech News Weekly here on twit.tv, along with my co-host, Mikah Sargent. Each and every week, we talk to people who are making and breaking the tech news. It could be journalists writing amazing tech stories. It could be experts. It could be the sources of the stories themselves, developers, you name it. We bring them onto the show, and we talk to them about why their story is resonating with the world. You can watch and subscribe by going to twit.tv/TNW. Make sure you do that and you won't miss a single episode. We'll see you there.